Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, we are back. Boy, what do I even say in these things now? Wow, it has been so long since I have done a watch along or a live with Lil or a YouTube video or a podcast. This feels so good to be back. I'm nervous. Hey, how are you? A lot of things have changed since I last did one of these. Zach and I got married. I think that was since I did a live with Lil. We moved states in America. We're now over on the east side of the country. This is our new kitchen. Here's my vase for those watching a la YouTube. And today we're going to be watching the first episode of Suspicion, an Apple TV Plus show that is the remake of False Flag, an Israeli show that's kind of based on, but goes, well, we'll talk about it, but it sort of has a similar premise and then goes off in a different direction. And today, I thought it'd be really great to start, I don't know why I'm bending down so much, to start with Chris Long, who is the director of the season. And there were two directors. There were meant to be more, but hello, COVID. Chris Long and Stefan Schwartz, but Chris Long was the, like, I forget what you call them. I don't know what his title was. Like, supervising producer, I think you call them. We'll ask him. But kind of the person that sets the tone, sets what it's going to look like, the shooting style. He's been on this forever and a day, and he's just so brilliant. And randomly, not random, but like lovely serendipitous moment in that he mentored Nina Lopez Carano, who was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. director, of course, and a big mentor of mine. So today, well, I'm going to make my cup of tea. I got an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. mug. Oh my gosh, no, I wasn't going to choose this one. I was going to choose this one. Well, I've got two, but I'll choose it. Well, maybe I'll make a cup for that, but I'll just do this one first. As an homage. And we're going to be doing things slightly differently. So, I mean, if you're already watching this, you probably already know, because this isn't going to be a live with Lil in the sense that it's live right now. It's going to be a watch along. So welcome to the watch along, Suspicion edition. Oh my gosh, I love that, Suspicion edition. For logistics and hopefully, you know, maybe upping the quality. We'll see. So far, how are we doing? Anyway, so this is going to be episode 1, the watch along, Suspicion edition. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. Oh my gosh, I've got something to show you. I hope I'm looking in the right place. It's been a while since I've done this. Am I recording? Yeah. I got a new thing in the kitchen. There is no kettle. Instead, we have a hot water tap. Wow, so you just press it, hot water comes out. So that's great. I didn't think I would like it. Turns out I do love it, because I thought, well, how are you going to know what temperature you're meant to have it on? But this might be like bad tea etiquette, but I just kind of put a bit of cold water in it. Perfect. Oh my gosh, how are you? Let me know in the comments. Because one of the things I loved, well, I loved a million things for the live with Lil. It being live when we were first doing it at the time that it was on was very exciting. But I loved getting all your guys' questions of what you wanted to know, of the guest that was on there. So obviously that bit, it's a bit lost because it's not going to be live, because I'm just going to see how this framework for it all goes. Anyway, because of that, I've asked on my Instagram questions for Chris Long. So we've got your guys' contributions. Thank you for that. And loads of them I just absolutely loved. So we'll definitely ask some of those. And a lot of them are ones that I was going to ask too, so that is perfect. We are still so in sync. I hope you're loving the show. We loved making it. It was kind of a crazy time to be making a TV show. So, you know, potentially lots of stories. We're going to have lots of amazing guests on. Oh my gosh, I mean, I was just like a bit nervous all day today, knowing that we're going to be like kicking this off again. And then I just started watching the episode again, you know, before, just now, and I was like, oh my god, I've got so many questions. This is going to be Really great and really exciting. And Chris is just amazing. He's actually been wonderful to me in terms of directing. So without making this intro a bazillion years long, let me let you know what Chris has done. So he was our main guy, head honcho director on Suspicion, but you may know him from The Americans, which is just an incredible show. If you haven't watched it, you must, or rewatch it, because I think the world has seen it. Such an incredible show. He did The Mentalist, which is where he worked with Nina. Nina was his assistant on The Mentalist, so that was how that whole thing happened. And then right now, he's doing The Patient with a little up-and-coming actor called Steve Carell. So he's just incredible and the most amazing director, and you'll see from watching along with us today, if you haven't already seen Suspicion, that he's just so brilliant, and working with him was great. And, you know, filming this was just under very different circumstances to, I think, he's directed under before, and certainly that I filmed under before. So he just did an incredible job, and he's amazing and so lovely and really up for sharing the knowledge. So that is perfect for the watch along. All right, well, I have my tea. Oh gosh. This is Tazo, which, you know, secretly I think is quite expensive, isn't it? Like, you know, it's like it's your high-end tea, and it's really delicious. Refreshment, so let's refresh. Oh my god, let's refresh! Alive with a Lil / watch along. Right, I need to get changed. This is the top that Tara wore in episode 1, and possibly 2, but you know, we're 1 today. I forgot how how tight it is on the old neck, so you know, I wonder actually if that's why my posture was potentially better than normal, although Chris did say a lot about my posture, because, you know, you just forget. Anyway, the only thing wrong with this, I didn't steal this also, by the way, I did buy it. I bought all my costumes. What a nerd. This is great. I think it needs a little something. Better. And, you know, I'm probably going to keep my jogging bottoms on because it's a Zoom, you know what I'm saying? Who wears trousers for a Zoom? Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. Here we are, we're back, baby, with the watch along, episode 1, Suspicion edition. Hey, I'm so happy you're here. Boy, it's just like remembering an old friend, isn't it? Remembering all the different kitchens I've done this in, and all the teas I've drunk doing it. Right, I'm gonna drink this and then let's go. See you on the Zoom. Thank you, Chris Long, for being here on the first Suspicion edition of the Watch Along.
Thank you so much.
Episode uno. So for everybody watching along with us, we're going to try to press play at the same time. Are you queued up, Mr. Long?
I think I might be on some preview for another show, which I'll get rid of because it's not as good as ours. Don't know what it is.
Just skip that. Apple Original. Okay, press play, go.
Brilliant.
Oh no, I paused mine again. Well, we'll be about the same place.
Yeah, UK production, I'm on that bit.
Yes, me too. Okay, perfect. Oh my gosh, we're up and running. Chris Long, thank you so much for being here. You're such a hero of mine, obviously. And I will just say, I have my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. mug with me because of our connection with Nina Lopez Corrado, who was, you know, and your assistant, and then you were her mentor, then she was my mentor, so that all just works out brilliant.
That's amazing, and now she's an incredible director in her own right.
Oh my gosh, doing so much stuff.
Which is a success story and you know, a case for digging into like a career, you know.
Yeah.
Went to Full Sail, went to, you know, became my assistant for 8 years, like prior to The Mentalist on a show called Dirt. And, you know, started to direct for me and little insert shoots, things like that. And that was sort of a career progression, you know, becoming a director's assistant and then, you know, hopefully getting a chance, you know, and there's a lot of things that had to go right for that chance, you know.
Yeah.
A long running show is one of them. You know?
Yeah. Hey, so this scene with Leo walking through the hotel, can you this was obviously such a huge pivotal scene without spoiling too much of the, I'm assuming anybody that's watching along with us has seen at least the first few episodes at this point.
Yes.
Can you talk about this and how you approached it? And was there a ton of pressure on like nailing this section?
God, it really was, because it was the opening of the show and it was shot day one. So
was it shot day one?
And you only had one piece to do, which is walk through in a bathrobe.
Yeah.
I was like, little walk through in a bathrobe, right. There was a lot of pressure on us, and it's the opening of the pilot. It's the opening of a series, so it had to be slick and glitzy, but it had to be told from Leo's POV. Garen's the actor. It had to interpret something, and it had to tell us right away and set up what this inciting incident is. So I think we achieved it. I think it looks good. I think it's great. I actually I shot it to a Young Blood track called Machine Gun. But we had to sort of change the music out in the end because if you look that up on Spotify or somewhere, behind Machine Gun, there's another line for the name of the song, which I won't say what it is, but the song has a few F-bombs in it. So although rhythmically it really works, we had to get taken out.
So with stuff like that, when things like that happen, because that's bound to happen, right? From the so many stages an episode of TV goes through, as a director, you shot to that because you love music, right?
Yeah.
Like you love the rhythm of stuff. And I know that you played that for us of the track. And even now it makes me like feel excited whenever I hear that song. And I have it on my Spotify, like upbeat playlist, and that really, How do you just have to go, oh, sure. Or do you then get to put in different options, or is that then out of your hands? Like,
I was very, 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 very attached to this one. So it was hard for me. It was very hard for me to give up. And so we tried a lot of songs, that many people suggested to replace it with. But look, at the end of the day, Apple are paying for this thing. Everybody works for somebody. And it just had too many F-bombs in it. And when you cut the F-bombs out, it never really made much sense as a song. Therefore, we went with another. Which now I'm attached to too. So,
that's it. I know. It's the same in acting when you go, oh my gosh, I love that line, and you see it and it gets cut out, and you're like, but you don't see. Everybody watches things from a different perspective, don't they? And the song that's in there now, I loved and forgot about the song you showed us, and then. Yeah. And then I remembered, I was like, oh, wow, this still works. And, there's so many people that, in the final mix of
of course
the show, isn't it?
It's a team sport, and it doesn't matter where you are in the business. You unless you're in very rarefied air, Coen Brothers type air. There's nobody really in TV that has that sort of, maybe Ryan Murphy, but people like that. But that has that sort of like final cut. Somebody is always answering to somebody. know, and if you can't be a team player, this is not really a business for you. You should be an artist or something. And look, it's on the screen there.
Hey! Oh my gosh. Can we talk about, because I remember this day, oh my gosh, it was so cold.
So cold. And the sky wasn't like that. We replaced the sky. The sky was quite dreary.
Oh my gosh, what?
Yeah, so we replaced the sky and made it sort of like a nice looking day. So that sun is fake.
My gosh. That's so crazy. That's what you don't realize, because I was thinking, well, there's not going to be much CGI in this show. And then I was speaking to somebody in post about it. And that's amazing that it's kind of the stuff that you don't notice, which is good, right?
Yes, let me talk about this quickly because I know how you are, and you're very, very modest. So I want to talk about Tara McAllister and our journey in finding her, which was long and arduous. And we just, we auditioned so many actresses and so many great actresses that just really, we're there, we're almost there and we're almost her. And then randomly, you were on something, you're in Los Angeles, you just sent a tape into us. Yeah, is that right?
A next day tape. Did I send a letter?
Yeah, you wrote a really nice letter, which was like, but no, it wasn't, but it was just, it was to get a really how much you liked the piece and you respected Roman I's work, and how much you.
Oh my God, I had forgotten that.
It really meant something, because not only were we
Did it?
It does, because you think to yourself, oh my God, this actor's really thought about this part and really thought about this character, and what she's saying about the character is exactly spot on. And so because you're in your audition and you weren't directed, you just took a hit, and you took a hit which was incredibly close to what we were thinking anyway. And it was like, well, she's got a great handle on the character, and she's really good. And I think we called you up and offered you the job. But we'd seen an enormous amount of actresses who were incredibly good. I could list off 10 people you'd heard of that we saw for it, but it just was, you encapsulated her. And part of that is because you have an incredible realness and reality in you, and an accessibility as a character, and you have that working class thing that's inherently in you. And this was in our character, that she was a working class girl that had done very well and got to a certain level, that had principles, and so frankly, you're almost not too far to where our tower is in our heart. And so therefore that's why we really that's why. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Chris. It's so great when because I do, as an actor, you do a million auditions, and most of them you never hear from, and you get kind of used to just that rhythm of do an audition and throw it away and don't really think about it. And this was one of those that I just thought, well, this is such a long shot. It's a tape audition, which usually, I never usually hear back that much from tapes, because nice to be in the room and to meet people, and you get a feeling when you're in the room.
Yeah.
And then, it just, when I was reading the character description of Tara, it was that she was from the North, but had to, moved away and was trying to make something of herself. And it was. It was, I felt like I was intimidated by her, because she, has a high status of intelligence. And I felt like, well, she's a mother. She, had a child when she was super young. There was just so many things that I thought you really need to get that right to do this character justice. But then when I heard I was in the mix, I was like, this is crazy. That is so funny. I had forgotten about that letter.
Yeah. And it's just
I've got it somewhere.
People sort of undervalue that sort of stuff. It isn't. If somebody, like, you had to be in the game. If you'd been, look, we didn't look at your letter and then watch the audition. God, have you seen this girl? She's really good. And we're like, yeah. And then there was this letter, and it was like, wow, this, she's obviously really thought about this and just taken one big hit from wherever you were, or Los Angeles or Atlanta or Canada or wherever you were. Yeah. And, it sort of worked out. And when I see you here in this scene with Heather in those surroundings in Oxford, you know, and how prestigious and rich and lush and everything, Oxford looks in this thing, it works so great.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that was actual Oxford we filmed that in, which was crazy to just be going in. It was exactly like Harry Potter. Yeah. And I stayed in like this prison haunted hotel when I was there, which was amazing.
By ourselves with COVID, like takeaway food, remember? Like they deliver bags.
Yes. And then they would never, talk to you. Can we talk about Lydia West and Georgina Campbell, as is Natalie and Monique? How was that casting process? How did you find them?
Yeah. So Georgina is like, she was one of the first ones that I felt like we nailed down. She was amazing. She was incredible. I loved her so much. I love her, as an actress. I think she's amazing. Yeah. I always just thought she was Natalie. So Georgina's my joke was, how's Natalie? Did Natalie have a nice weekend? It was like, we always talk to her like that, because she just, like you, inhabited that character so well. And what I did was we did chemistry reads with the sister. Now, you don't normally do chemistry reads for siblings. Right. You normally do chemistry reads for romantic, or for all kinds of reasons, but normally when it's romantic stuff. But do chemistry reads with the sisters, and it got down to 3 young ladies, who we read with, who are all fantastic. But to watch the spark and the sass between these two, just really was just lit up in something special. I was aware of Lydia from previous show, so I knew what a great actress she was. And the funny thing is, though, they're only a year apart in age.
Yes.
And of course, they're playing, 8-9 years apart. And Georgina is older, I think, by a year. But it was always, to me, like that always like freaked me out that they were so close. But I think because I seen Lydia in that other show, so therefore, I thought of her as young.
As young, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we did the chemistry read, and it just went so great. It was just so glaringly obvious, like after I'd seen them, all of them, that this was who we wanted. And of course, with her success on It's a Sin and everything else, they're both incredibly talented, and they're both going to be huge and successful and wonderful, and they deserve everything they got. So
yeah, totally. And they do just have, now they're great friends, and they do have this lovely supportive friendship that you can't make that up. And that, like, on screen, how do you, like, have you ever worked, obviously not naming names, but have you worked with people that you can just kind of feel on screen there isn't the chemistry? Like, how important is that to the final thing?
No, it's very important. It's very important, both not only, siblings, but also in relationships where you cast two actors, they're supposed to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and and of course it always works out on day one. It's like, hi, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. Okay, right, make out.
I know.
Right, okay, how's it go? Yeah, how's it feel for you? It's just like, and there's this really awkwardness to it. So no, there's often that these things don't make out. By the way, talking about relationships, these guys were amazing too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, these guys, you just totally bought as brothers, and a whole family. The whole family, you just really, really buy. And Adesh's place in that family. And again, Sonia is amazing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so fun watching these scenes with Adesh, and obviously it's Kunal Nayyar, who's just amazing. And, so famous. Yeah. So famous for Big Bang Theory. And then you see him in this and you almost don't recognize him. And I just feel, as an actor, that's kind of the biggest compliment you can give somebody. How did you...
He's the first actor I got attached.
Really?
Yeah.
And how did you... I feel like this is a superpower of yours, to just go, that's who it could be.
It was interesting, because Kunal's people had read the script and reached out to our casting director. And the casting director said, look, I've got a left field idea. What about Kunal Nayyar from the Big Bang? And I'm like, Big Bang Theory? Okay. So we arranged to have a coffee, Kunal and I, in Santa Monica. And we only had like 2 scripts or 3 scripts, and we had a bit of an outline and 3 scripts. And he was worried because he didn't want to play like a computer hacker, and, how much element in character there was going to be. And also, when I was very lucky because he was a big fan of The Americans and some of the work I'd done. So he knew that the level of the quality of the project was going to be something, but he signed on to a project that he didn't really know where we were going to make it. He didn't know it was going to end up with all this millions of dollars behind it with publicity and this wonderful, wonderful cast. Talking of Bridget Uma Thurman just came up.
There she is.
With this wonderful cast, it's like, so he didn't know when he signed on. He had no clue, really. He took a giant leap of faith in it. And he sweetly says, partly because of me.
I'm sure.
And because he really wanted to do something that's 180 away from his character. Big Bang. So.
And he did. Like, it's, I think a lot of the time in this game you go on instinct, and when you're at a Kunal level, you are choosing the project. So you're like putting your faith behind people, which is actually really I would imagine quite scary, because the where I came into it was just like, it was another audition and I would have loved to have done it, but there was no, I only audition for stuff that I would like to do and feel like it aligns with what I want to put out there in the world. But still, it's like I audition for a lot of stuff that I don't get. Whereas when you're at a Kunal level or an Uma level and you're coming in and you're very decidedly choosing, do you find that, how does that make you feel? Is it like flattering? Is it a lot of pressure?
It's a lot of pressure, responsibility. I mean, with Uma, it was like, well, first of all, there's Nara Emmerich, who we know where.
Oh my gosh.
Of my gorgeous friends, the Americans.
Amazing.
So we know how Noah got there. But with it was, we were putting names, we were kicking names around for this part, and I just said, I want Uma Thurman. I want Uma Thurman. I want Thurman. I want Uma Thurman. What's it going to take to get Uma Thurman? And Uma Thurman. And did I mention that I wanted Uma Thurman? So
where did that come from? I mean, obviously she's iconic and a massive movie star.
Well, I'm lucky enough to be in a position to do these projects where I can pick people that I want to work with that or I can try to entice people to come work with me that I have mad respect for. And I've had mad respect for like so long, and I'm really fascinated by, her body of work and everything else. And I know that she hadn't done many things recently and was, perhaps looking. I also know that she has, she's very interested in this sort of like, it's obviously social media and the way social media are over the years, and the way that so she's like very interested, and also in these sort of companies, that Cooper Newman and those sort of foundations and the way these shadowy. So she's very interested in this world. She's read a lot of books about it. So it was literally like, well, can you and Rob go to New York to meet her? So we're like, no, we can't, because we literally just started shooting, and we just like, we were sort of, or like so close to prep. They said, so will she come to us? Will she fly to London? So we had Uma fly over, and she stayed in this hotel in Chelsea, and we went there one night to meet with her. And the funniest thing happened, which was so great, which might require a visual prop. Okay, here it is. 1 second.
Oh my gosh.
So I always carry this with me, which is full of headache pills and things like that, and just everything that you might want in an emergency. If you get a bit of a sniffle or diarrhea, headache,
sure,
whatever
brilliant.
you got.
Yeah,
brilliant. Right. So we get there, and Uma says, "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I've allergic to something in this room, and I've got like a swelling on my face." And I couldn't see it, but she was obviously aware of it. Yeah. I think she's allergic to something in the room or something, whatever. And she goes, "Really need an antihistamine. I really need a Benadryl, but I can't seem to find Benadryl here." So I literally reach into my bag and pull out the goods, and I lay it out on her bed, and it's sort of like. I lay out on the bed like all these pills, and it's like literally like out of a scene out of Pulp Fiction. And I go, I have now made my life by
oh my God
Pulp Fiction, where I'm like, I just said, well, thank God we weren't like straddling over her, like stabbing on her chest, like to like it was anyway. She saw the funny side of it too, which is great.
My gosh, it was a love story, amazing.
So, yeah, I think after if you need anything.
There we go. And thank goodness you always have them. An array.
Yeah, it's all like just over the counter stuff, and just so. But yeah, if you get the diarrhea around me, you're going to be in great shape.
We're going to be fine. Well, that's part of being a director, I imagine. Preparation.
Yeah, exactly. So literally. So anyway, so that was how. So we met with Uma, and the meeting went well, obviously. Yeah. And she signed on to it, and then COVID hit, and all the COVID problems that we had, and we had to like consolidate her work and then shoot all of her stuff in 35 days in one set, and all the stuff that about, which caused big problems with the schedule. But she came to London during COVID and hung with us. You were there too. We all dug in and just tried to make the best of it. It was a real interesting time.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. Well, and I think, we're talking about something very specific in directing a TV show, but I think it's something a lot of people can relate to, in that you kind of feel like you know what you're doing, you have things sorted, and then something comes and just kind of knocks you off your feet, like a COVID, that you go, wow, I've got to come up with something new. How do you, in those situations, how do you cope with that? Where does that resourcefulness come from?
I think that, I always say to people, that's kind of what they pay you for. That, if it's all going really well, then I feel that, there's a lot of people that can handle it. It's when it goes horribly wrong that you need to dig yourself. And that can be things like in your day directing that you're behind and you need to get these shots, and we're now back in Oxford, and we only had Oxford for like 1 day or 2 days, so we had to make the scenes. Remember, the pressure was enormous. You had an enormous amount of dialogue. And it's like when you were in Oxford, I think for 1 day in that hall for 1 day, and it's like, and starting to run out of time and light and and all kinds of crazy things. I, like yourself, Lil, with directing, I'm a big prepper. I'm a big planner. And then I'm prepared to chuck the plan out the window on the day. Yeah. If it changes organically, if like the staging that I imagined didn't work with the actors, if like, anything that happens, like I was going to use a Steadicam, but the Steadicam's broken. I was going to do like, okay, let's do this. And I think you always need a plan A, B, and C, A in life, certainly in directing, where it normally goes wrong. It doesn't normally go wrong. Normally, you get normally thrown a couple of googlies if you're British and curveballs if you're American. So that normally happens. The same thing happened here with this scene that we're looking at now. Was supposed to be out in the garden. Sorry, not this handbag scene, the previous scene with Mom, when that was supposed to be out in the garden, but the weather was crap that day. So we were like, okay, I'll put it in the kitchen. I wanted to open it up a bit. I was worried the show was getting a little bit interior. So the previous scene with Mom, when Mum gives it a ring, was supposed to be in the back garden, in the backyard. So, but it wasn't. And so there again, it was another example of, if you remember Jim Imber, all right, he's out there looking up the weather. It's like, it's coming in, Chris. I don't think it's going to work. It's coming in.
Watching it, that's really funny because I just felt like that was such a deliberate choice because it felt quite kind of.
Was now.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Like the walls were closing in, and then you like you say you want to plan everything, but then I assume you go, okay, well, I'm in this setting. Where's going to look cool? What angle do I need? How am I getting in? How am I getting out? Like that's and I guess a perfect example of just going.
Here's another one coming up, like in this little chase sequence that we're doing here.
Gosh, yeah, how did you do this?
On a Sunday in Peckham. I think it was Peckham, something like that. No, it wasn't Peckham. It was near Millwall, that area. Anyway, so this bus that's approaching, they wouldn't give me a route master bus. So in other words, a double-decker bus, they wouldn't give me that because they apparently right at the last minute, route master, the bus people got all upset about the way they were portrayed. Even though they're in the right, the bus is coming down a legal road and it's the car that's in the wrong. They wouldn't give it to me. So we had to hire one of those open top buses that you drive around on if you're going for a bit of a party or a bit of on the lash with your head night or something. We had to hire one of those. And so the top deck of the bus is a visual effect. It's painted in.
Stop it.
Yeah. So that's how I subverted Route Master. Because,
my gosh.
They'll send me another bus. But I subverted Route Master by shooting this one double and then putting the top in post-production.
Oh my gosh. That takes a lot of guts. Chutzpah to do that, because you go all of a sudden, presumably then that became a pretty expensive shot to
It did. But by the time we planned it all out, it was too late to change it. It was can it be a rubbish truck? Can it be like a? Because rubbish trucks can't go only. It was a bus only thing, and I was really just attached to this idea of a bus. And I wanted to show where buses and things.
Absolutely, I love it being a bus, and it says so much. And but it's just, I suppose, knowing. You have those days where you feel like, the rain is potentially coming. It could make filming outside hard, to go, okay, brilliant. I don't need to, let's pick our battles. I'm not going to die on that hill. And then you go, no, I really want to try and make this bus moment work. And is that just an instinct thing that you just go, no, I'm willing to fight for this. Yes, I can do it,
Yeah. It's you're exactly right. It's about everything. It's the way you are in life. It's about relationships, about everything. It's about picking balance.
Yeah.
And it was important to me as a bus, and they said it was going to cost 15 grand in visual effects. I said, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I want our bus. And if we can't get a bus, then we'll get half a bus and I'll paint the other half on top of it. Thanks. Give me half a bus. Give me half a bus.
Does that just come from, you know, you've done so many shows, the Americans that we've mentioned, you Mentalist for years. Like, does that just come from, like, is that just wisdom? Is that you know?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of that. It's your gut reaction, you know, which you have great gut reaction. You know, people have, you know, so you have to trust your instinct that, or any gut reaction that you're doing the right thing. Yeah. But then also, I've been directing for 25 years. I've directed 120 projects. So
you haven't. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, stop me if you want to talk about specific scenes that are on, but can you? Yeah, keep your eye on. Can you talk about how you got into it? Because it's something that I found very inspiring and I think we really bonded over. You know, because you don't necessarily come from, you know, a dynasty of filmmakers.
Oh, wait, no, nobody in the family. No one in the family is. I basically always wanted to. I actually started in the sort of music business and started off playing, you know, guitar badly in sort of bands that were never going to go anywhere. But that led me into like being a recording engineer, which led me into doing post-production sound. And then when I moved to the States, I sort of had like these two things. I moved to the States 30 years ago. I had these two things that I was in. I was either going to go back into the recording music business, or I was going to go into post-production and sound and stuff like that. And I got the first job I got. The first interview I had was with Walter Becker from Steely Dan for his studio, and he didn't give me. If he'd given me the job, I wouldn't be sitting here today with you. I'd be doing something else. But the second job I got was for Lorimar post-production sound, and I got it, and I got attached to a show called Midnight Caller, and I met somebody who became my mentor, a gentleman called Bob Singer, and I went from post-production sound to like associate producer or post-producer to a director with him over the course of like 8 to 10 years. So, wow, director. So that was a sort of a very long way. I'm 60. That was like 40 years in like in 40 seconds. So there you go. Yeah.
That's amazing though, because it's, you know, you go, it's sometimes the things you don't get are the most important things. Yeah. That, like you say, imagine if you'd got that, or imagine if your reaction to not getting that was, oh, fine, I'm just going to go back to England then. This, I guess, isn't going to work, you know, because presumably that was a massive move to come over to the States. Yeah.
My wife's from here. And she went to acting school, RADA, in London. And she was living in London. And she lived there for 10 years. So I call her the half and half. So she was from here. So at least I had, you know, her family here, but her family are not in the business either. So it wasn't like we, you know, were in the business. This is an interesting one here. I just want to say.
Yes.
Actual plane that we shot on, a real plane. And normally you don't get to shoot on real planes because real planes are incredibly difficult. But because of COVID, British Airways were basically giving these planes away. No joke. They decommissioned so many transatlantic airliners, so many that this guy who runs a company that rents out aircraft bought one, and we were the first to use it. Now, he didn't tell me how much he paid for it because he wouldn't tell me, but I know that the engines, which were still hanging on this thing, are worth $1 million each. All engines on these jets are recycled. They're pulled off right away and recycled because they're Rolls-Royce engines. They cost $1 million. So I know he had $4 million hanging on this plane in engines. And all he would say to me was, I didn't pay for it, even what the engines are worth. So I don't know what he paid for it. But anyway, now he has this plane, which he rents out for filming. And it's, as you can see, it was just decommissioned. So it looks exactly like a British Airways plane. We couldn't play it as British Airways. We had to play it as a ND. I think we call it Euro Airways or something. So the things on the back there where the seats are and all the signage is different because we couldn't play it as British Airways because we couldn't get permission to use British Airways. Yeah. Because because of the subject matter and the nature of it.
Yeah.
And so, but he has this decommissioned jet, which is like great. And it's there at its resting point. It won't fly ever again. They're going to rip the engines off it, sell them for $1 million each. And the rest is history. But we were very, very, very fortunate. So we shot this after COVID. Now, the next piece where he gets off the plane, we shot before COVID, and we shot that at Stansted Airport. So what we were stuck with was we'd already established how many people were getting off this plane, which was huge. So many people. But when we shot this during COVID, there was very strict COVID limitations. So it's like, well, how are we going to have this jet full of people when all those people, because we already shot the B side of it, him getting off. And so we had to sequester an entire plane load of people for 5 days in a motel. Yeah. So all of the extras that you see in a moment when he comes out of here, you'll see all the extras standing out. They all lived together for 5 days in a hotel, being tested every other day, so that we could do this scene. Just an unbelievable expense to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Darren, our producer, Darren McLeod, was very resourceful and was very good at helping out with these kind of things. And yeah, that's what we did. We put all these people up, and the little boy has now been handed to
Sean.
Sean, yeah. The little boy is 1 year older on the plane than he is off the 1 year at that age is huge. So we were like, has he grown much? Oh yeah, he's like got a moustache and he's like going to school. And when we saw him, we were like, whatever. So you'll see that Elias is holding him and it works for character too, because he's hiding behind the kid's head.
Yeah.
But in the moment he gets off the plane, how he's holding the kid so that we don't see too much of him, because in the next cut, he's 1 year younger. Literally.
Oh my gosh. So this is because we started filming, and then what do we do? 3 weeks, and then we shut down because...
Yeah, we shot 20 days, then we shut down for 5 months, and then we had to figure out how to do it. So you see the kids the way he is. I don't have a shot of him, because he's literally got a moustache.
Oh my gosh! I did not even notice. Didn't even think about that.
And then the next cut, here. So here he gets off the plane. And then everybody in the next cut, when you get back to the next cut, is 1 year younger.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite scenes, actually.
Oh, yes. So I got quite a few questions about, where did the image come from of Natalie getting arrested at a wedding? And maybe this is a Rob question more too, I'm not sure, but was it? Yeah. So was that, because it's such an incredible, just an amazing, visual, exactly that. It feels like you had a lot of fun shooting this. I mean, obviously I wasn't around this day, but.
I did. And the weather was so nice for us. That is a real sunshine. That was a real backlight. That is real whatever. And the weather was so nice for us, and a bus just went by, thank God. And then when we came out of the church later in the day, we shot this in February. When we came out of the church later in the day, it started to rain, which also you'll see at the end when she drives away. So the doors close here. That sky is real and the sun was real. The sun inside the church is fake because we've shot light through it. But when they walk out, it started to rain. And when we pull away in the car, you'll see we rack focus from the window.
Gosh.
Like it's crying for her. But this was written, this was in Rob's head from the beginning. Again, we had to shoot all this in 1 day, which was a big ask for us to, with 3 cameras, and we had to come up with me and Adam Shishitsky, our wonderful DOP, a way to, achieve this task in 1 day, as we only had the church for 1 day for many reasons, COVID and, everything else. But it's a wonderful. I'm really proud of the way this came out and the way that we shot it, and it really tells the story well.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful, and it's I didn't realize you shot this when we came back after being shut down. That then to have that many people in a scene and it be such a pivotal scene, I mean, it's just such a huge moment. Oh my gosh, I mean, this shot is just so gorgeous. How the heck did you do that? What's that? A big crane?
Right, yeah. And then the idea to play all in her head, so you don't hear the people really shouting at at her and everything else, because It's a visual, and all these extras were just so spot on precise. They were, as a group of people, they were all so into it and so right on. Now you can see it's raining, and that's real rain. And then, in the shot, which, I mounted the camera on the side of the car on this lens, and you'll see as she pulls away, we rack focus to the rain on the window, the transition shot, because it just felt like the world was crying for her, and it felt God-given. So you see now the focus is on the rain.
It gives me goosebumps. Oh, so this is what you're saying?
Yeah, you're a year earlier that they're coming down these stairs. This in our story. This is Belfast, but we shot it at Stansted Airport. So when he goes so all the announcements are in a Northern Irish accent, and when he goes to see the guy at the border control, that gentleman is talking in a Northern Irish accent. And I will say, I just want to say one thing about the guy, the actor whose name I don't remember. I apologize for that. But the actor who takes his passport here, he's got his arm up here. This is really a testament to there are no small parts, only small actors. And what I mean by that is this is a tiny little part of which he was brilliant in it. Like, he was so good. When we get to him, I'll acknowledge him. He was so good, and he lived it. And I, at one point, was walked up, and I thought he was one of the realies. I thought he was the real guy. I didn't realize he was the actor because he was just sitting there in character.
Oh, and, wow.
Who we're about to cut to. And he was absolutely fabulous. There are no small parts, only small actors, and he made the most of it. And I will always remember him for, if I'm ever doing something else, I just remember how committed he was and how he showed up and how great he was in it. And because sometimes it's the smaller parts that can absolutely kill you in casting.
As in, like, hard to cast?
Well, hard to cast, and also they come in for one day and they're very nervous, and they've got like two. And they want to put a lot on, the 2 lines, and yourself as a director. It's really about withholding and with acting, it's not about like playing to the gods, So when they've got 2 lines, they've been in the trailer rehearsing those 2 lines in front of the mirror, and it's like, it's time for my 2 lines. I'm gonna give it loads, And he wasn't that way. So in other words, that sometimes when they just come in for one day, they can overact and they can, stick out a little bit compared to the others,
Yeah.
And it's about, we replaced this guy here too. It's about keeping them comfortable, and it's about keeping them, whatever. But he was just so great. The image of the guy we're about to come up to was an image that I had like first, like very much. This was the last day of before COVID, by the way.
Yes, I remember.
So she gets out of the car here in this parking lot, and I always wanted symmetry with it. You can see the way that we line the shot up with the lights. We always try to create this sort of symmetry. So I always love the idea of this guy holding a dress. I had this image of this bloke who's like, he's brought drunks into the, he's arrested drunks, he's arrested bad guys, he's arrested gang guys, but he's just walking along, lifting this dress up like she's walking down the aisle. And I wanted that shot of her walking down the aisle.
Yeah, it is so beautiful. And it's why you are just the best, and why Kunal and Uma will have a cup of coffee with you and go, yes, I'm in, because it's those detailed moments of going, it says so much in that moment. Like the whole montage of her coming, not a montage, but of the sequence of her coming out of the church and then getting in the car and then driving off. In the script, there's no lines. It kind of probably just says she leaves, gets put in a police car and drives off.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you make it beautiful.
There's a moment here, by the way. Thank you. There's a moment here. He takes a brief moment before he puts this helmet on, because he said to me, if I put that helmet on with this bloody wig on, it's going to be really hard to get back on. So make sure you're happy with the shot before I put that on. So he has this brief moment where he's waiting for me is he going to say cut or not? Because I'd say cut a couple of times.
Yeah.
So that moment, which is a great Sean moment from Elias, who's very good in it, was a great Sean moment. But that moment, which is reading as Sean preparing himself, is waiting to see if I'm going to say cut.
Oh my gosh, I love that, because it really works. And I suppose that's why you stayed on him for that moment, because it feels very Sean.
It feels very Sean just to take that moment and compose himself and put it on. So this shot of you getting your nose swabbed or your mouth swabbed pre-COVID, we had no idea, did we, that this would become our life?
I know.
That thing in our mouths or our nose or wherever we go.
I know.
And then we're coming up to what I think was, was one of our funniest moments, our funniest shots that we did.
I got so many questions about how you did this from a bunch of different people.
You did it. We all did it. And it's basically, if you think about it, it's the simplest shot in the world. It's a camera that goes around, and then you guys were rushing into position and being still, remember?
Yeah. People can't believe it when I say that.
I know, but no one can believe it. It's, the hardest one to get out, of course, was Natalie, because she's wearing that dress. But the second the camera's off, she's now running, right? She's running, and Kunal stepped in, okay? And we had to clear Natalie, and everybody, we had to act normal. And then same thing for you, as we come around Kunal, like, bosh, Kunal's running, and you just stepped in as still as possible. And it's the stillness that you guys played that sells it. It's the stillness. The fact that, I can see a little bit of breath on you, like you but the breath plays as nerves.
Yeah.
The breath really was you running in.
Yes, because it's quite a long, quite a few steps to get in there. And it's literally like...
Oh, messing with that shot, girl.
Yeah. Well, and also for Angel, who plays Vanessa, the police lady, to not get distracted by
all this cameras going around, people running.
She was just amazing, because that was a long speech, and then she had to keep eye contact even when somebody wasn't there and then was back there. And that was amazing. Did she know beforehand that that's how you were going to shoot it?
No, she didn't. The other day she was like, God, really? Okay. I want to talk about Angel quickly. Angel Colby here, who's like unbelievable with Noah.
Amazing.
And this is one of my favorite parts of the show, this relationship between an American FBI agent and a British agent. And there isn't one cliche in their performances. There isn't one cliche played. They are both so real and so brilliant. Are, to me, their own spin-off in this series.
100%. Yeah, just that chemistry is brilliant. Oh my gosh, it's over.
Over, mate.
That went so quickly. Wow. I couldn't agree more. As soon as they, and I suppose that's a testament to casting too, right? Of just going, I trust that these people are going to be, they're going to have that chemistry, because those two characters, Noah Emmerich's character and Angel's character, are just like, they are like a spin-off on themselves. Like their journey they go on together is almost the romance of the show, in terms of, them working together and finding common ground and respecting each other and opening up.
Police investigation is certainly one great part of the show. It was great the way it sort of fell into threes. It was, you guys on the, doing your thing on the run and coming, the gang, so I call it. And then there was, Uma's world, in, which we built, and also in New York. And then there was the investigation, and there was this sort of three legs to the series, which I think sit beautifully and were constructed well in the beginning, in the writing process by Rob Williams. And I think that's to me, that's the joy of the show, and the ride of the show is enjoying these three worlds.
Yeah, you did it so beautifully. I could just speak to you forever, but I'll let you go. Just quickly before, there's so many questions that people sent into my Instagram that we have got to a lot of them actually, but just as something to end on. Yeah. If somebody either wanted to pursue something, whether it was being a director or just some kind of dream that might feel a little bit far off, do you have any, words of wisdom if people are struggling, or if they just it can feel quite far away, whatever they're trying to achieve? Yeah,
I think that this can feel unattainable. You and I live in proof it's not.
Yeah.
And we're not, we are, I was going to say we're not anything special.
But that's true though, isn't it? Yeah.
It's true. We are, we both come from the backgrounds we come from. We both, took the opportunities that we had, take every opportunity you can. But in filmmaking and writing and acting, it's about doing it. It's about honing the craft so that you're ready when the time comes. And what I mean by that is, If you're an actor, of course, it's about, joining a theater group, acting, we got acting classes, joining a theater group, maybe going to a place if you can afford it, like RADA or not. But it's not, you don't have to go to places like that. There's many, many, many routes into acting. Doors are not shut. I never went to film school. So obviously there's the film school route. But I would say, look, in this day and age where technology is so cheap, just get out there and make things. Get out there and make things on your iPhone. Write things, make things. And yes, when you first start some, they'll be rubbish. And
yes,
but they'll be rubbish. And great, show them to your friends and listen to their feedback. And then gradually you're going to start to write and make things that that become relevant to you. Tell the stories that are personal to you. And it's always, it's a cliche, but, write what you know, do things that you know. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, black, white, tall, short, fat, thin. Make the stories that are relevant to you and your family and your environment. And they'll be the most truthful and honest. And truth and honesty is basically all we got in this business. If you can do that and you can do that and you can break through. And then once you've done that, I would say the best piece of advice I could give you is to try and go the festival route. If you make a short film, submit it to you make a short film. Once you've made 5 horrible short films, then you've raised the money to make something that's got a little bit more production value. When you've managed to find real actors to put in it and do things like that. And then if it's worth it, try and row the film festival. Thank you.
Yes.
Because that is how you're going to build like a CV and a resume for yourself.
Yeah.
Because because of the accessibility of, the equipment and everything, a lot of people can make films. It's true. But if you start to build something for yourself, then it's like, okay, I made this short film and it got into so-and-so festival and it got okay, like, let's have a look. And that's how. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let me tell you a story about this actor that I know called Harry McQueen. Harry is a wonderful actor, but done not particularly successful, I think, by his own admission, but had done little parts here and there on the EastEnders and things. And he played a young Gordon Goody in a documentary that I did, and I stayed in touch with Harry. And he always wanted to be a filmmaker, and he was always keen to find out what was going, how to do it and how it was going on. And he made a movie called Hinterland, which I think he made for 50. Now it's £50,000. It's a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But he made it. But when it comes to making a full-length feature, it's not a lot of money. Yeah. And he made this movie called Hinterland, and he took it to the festivals, and it did, fairly well. And he won a couple of awards for it, and it was great. And he went away and he wrote a full-length feature, not based on Hinterland, a different sort of feature. And that was called Supernova. And he got Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci in it. And he released this movie last year. It's a fabulous movie. Now, that's a very simplistic route that Harry took. What I mean by simplistic is it seems simple. I don't mean it was simple for Harry. I mean, it seems simple. Yeah, just make a short, then make a $50,000 film, and then give a script to Stanley Tucci, and he'll get Colin Firth in it. They are events that happen to him. So that's the lucky part that happened to him. The work that he put into that, learning how to be a filmmaker by being an actor, by being around other filmmakers, by being around people like me, I like to think.
Yeah.
Allowed him the tools to go out and make this stuff. And now he's doing incredible. And I hope he does another big movie soon. It's a great movie, Supernova, and you check that out.
I'm being curious, right? And when you're around people like you that are really up, I mean, I asked you a million questions on set, and you're just very much you're a leader, but you're also a mentor to so many people, which I think is something that is something to be really, just proud of. And, that's really important. That's how people get to that next stage. Everybody has somebody that kind of helps them up to the next level.
And, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody, I really can't remember who it was, but it's a beautiful expression that our careers are all like hitchhiking. We were standing on the side of the road trying to get a lift. We can't get a lift. Suddenly we get a lift and we get driven up the road 35 more miles and we get dropped off and we get another hitchhiking. I'm still hitchhiking. So are you, Lil. This is what we do for a living. And And we're always striving to do better. Even at my age, I'm striving to do better. I'm striving to do bigger work, better work. And I think the thing is that, there's another expression which I love, which is the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
And I think if you gotta stick around positive people, you gotta have a positive attitude, and don't get sucked into negativity, and hang around people that you can support and they will help you.
Yeah. What a great way to end it. Chris Long, thank you so much. Congratulations on Suspicion. You're just a master, and I'm really happy I got to kick this whole thing off with you.
Thank you so much, Lil. Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh. I hope you loved that. I loved that. It's funny, you speak for like an hour and there are no words now. Chris Long is just so wonderful. He's exactly as genuine as he comes across, and just so modest. He's so talented. And, as an actor, you don't really have any control over where the director puts the camera and the angles that they film you from, and how they are dancing with the camera, and same with all the crew and everything. You don't get to choose any of that stuff. And I've been so lucky with everything I've done to like really respect the people that are making it and the people behind it. And he's just one of the greats. And then you speak to him and he's just so normal and lovely. So it just shows you. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We're going to have some amazing guests on moving forward too, so stick around. And I hope that you've loved it, and I hope that it can hopefully inspire you, whatever you're moving towards or thinking of leaping at, whether it's in the film industry or in, life. All right, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time for the Watch Along Suspicion Edition. I'm not over it. Suspicion Edition. Perfect. It was made for this.